Welcome to Poetry Palace TV. I am Tom Beal, the poet of Diary of a Poet series, which is what the show is about. This week, we are going to delve into Volume 1 of my series. Before we start that, I just want to let you know that you can go to poetrypalacegiftshop.com and you can read any of this at any time you want. It's all for free. The show is eventually going to get to Volume 18, which is Internal Revolutions, which is poetry I'm writing to my late wife, who passed just before the plague in 2020, in January. So feel free to go there, and thank you for coming again. Let's get right down to business here. Volume 1, just scribbled words. Probably after the first 4 or 5 printings of Volume 1, I finally came up with an introduction. A little slow on the draw sometimes. My mind is like a city of one-way streets, all leading to its center. Poems and parts of poems and parts of possible poems stampede frantically in Twilight Zone redundancy down each street, and I live in the dust above the collision, unable or willing to control the bits of shrapnel as they tear through me, writing all that I can hold on to long enough to slate. I am not sure if I messed up the blueprints or the construction, or if the city was already there waiting for me. My best days are when I scribble frantically or share those scribblings. I guess that makes this one of my best days. Thanks. All my poetry is numbered, so don't be looking for titles now. First poem I ever wrote that didn't rhyme. I had an English teacher in the 11th grade, told me I should really stop rhyming. I was never good at listening to teachers. Most of what I write now rhymes, but he got me to write something that didn't rhyme, and it came out awesome. Now it's number 1 in my series. Number 1, memories, some forgotten in the whirl of days gone by. Good along with bad, haunted by a select few. Some we hold as good, the magnificent pieces of the puzzle, the rose petal of long ago, saved to hold the memory even more distinct, as if it were yesterday. And it was, for there is only yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Think today of yesterday, and tomorrow remember your thoughts. Think again of good, and only once of bad. Learn from both, but live in neither, and try not to make either occur again. For what is a puzzle with 2 pieces the same, or a year with 2 Octobers? Number 2, the rain tapping upon the roof slithers silently through ports of age, diving carelessly into reunions of drops on the floor beneath. Nature's breath seeps between the logs like music, causing the flames to dance. On it flies the fading screams of trees, ancient and young, whom have battled series of storms, seen decades of death, surrounded multitudes of people, sitting in silence, comfortably warm, listening to the screaming of trees. Number 3, sometimes I write with no reason. Sometimes the words do not sing. Usually a bit past the season, like winter snows in the spring. But these are the lines that must be written, with all of the sorrow that they bring, just like the armies that are smitten before the prince becomes king. Number 5, in a war fought for freedom, there are only soldiers pulling triggers to stay alive. Number 6, adults that show the children the way that they should go, often in frustration, are shown the things they used to know. We soon forget the freedom of joy and spirits lifted high, and at times we just accept, not knowing exactly why. Just watch the little children as they laugh when nothing is there, and how in the midst of trouble, find the time to care for strangers. Number 8. There are so many eyes with so much inside, where the feelings flow and the secrets hide. There are those that see and those that don't, those that never will, those that just won't. Some that laugh, some that cry, some that tell, some ask why. The silent ones and ones are loud. There is so much to see in glances in a crowd. Number 9. Maybe, hope, unsure, so full of expectation. Maybe, unbeatable, untouchable, unstealable. Maybe, wonderful, maybe. Number 10. Rushing, raging, running wild, pounding, pulsing, passion's child, ripping, roaring, ritually, pushing, pulling, perpetually, swiftly, swirling, sensuous blood in me. Number 12. Every once in a while, there is an awesome happening where two people meet in a state of mind. And deep below words, where the soul's vibration makes music to the heart, there is a sweet sensation words will never disclose. When I look into your eyes, into the depthless dark, for that distant spark from the fire that burns within. Number 13. Like Shakespeare's words, so intriguing, delicate and noble romance, royal gardens of roses and pink, with a gentle crimson sunset, dreams of unleashed desire. But I, a simple peasant, nor gold nor silk to offer, but naked against the winter wind, the warmth I have left is gladly yours. Even the farthest star of heaven echoes back the words, words which bind my heart to thine, of which love is the greatest. Number 14. Again, there is joy in painting pen, and its soul has escaped its pen. Now flowing fast the pictured word, again resent no longer heard. And my wings are not bound, for there is reason to be found. Again that sweet release, again so strongly sought. I fear not what I am, only what I am not. Number 15. The forest's edge grows ever on, consuming lakes, concealing dawn. At first it's grass, then hay, then bush, then ingrow trees, the forest bush. In its heart there can be found skeletons by vine are bound. A pot or pan or broken glass, remains of man did long since pass. A road is cut, a field is made, a lake is eaten, the debt is paid. 16. So young, so confused, indecisive, frustrations in their full glory and greatness, the heavy gloom of impatience, seconds like hours, and days like minutes, the courage of a martyr, the seriousness of a jester, the hopes of an ace, the stability of a joker. Free as a summer's dew upon the virgin daisies, until trapped by broken bridges ahead and burning bridges behind, only to ride the river quickly roughening, only to crash on your own jagged rocks of maturity. Number 17. He stood about 6'4", bare feet on the floor, and ponytails down his back. He was quiet most of the time. When he talked, it should have rhymed. It was about sunsets and snow. He had dark-colored skin and was kind of thin, but put in a good day's work. He would jot things down in a little book and hide it away should someone look, and eat little loaves of flatbread. They called him Thunder because his voice boomed when he talked. They called him a fool because he owned no horse but walked. They called him Stranger because no one seemed to be his friend. They called him Mrs. because when trouble came he would not fight but bend. The men at the mill did not treat him well, but if it bothered him, you could not tell. His expression never seemed to change. No one knows what he did with the money he got, or whether he even spent it or not, but it was not on clothes. Wore a homemade vest of buffalo fur, and his pants weren't factory-made, that's for sure, and moccasins in the winter. Sometimes he would talk to the foreman, and often to old Mrs. Gorman, when she brought in a pie for the men. They called him Thunder because his voice boomed when he talked. They called him a fool because he owned no horse but walked. They called him Stranger because no one seemed to be his friend. They called him Mrs. because when trouble came, he would not fight but bend. One day a fire broke out at the mill. While everyone ran, Thunder stood still. The payroll was in the back. He finally came out with ash on his face. When he got to the foreman, he slowed his pace and handed him a pile of burnt bills. The foreman yelled something about it not all being there. Everyone gave old Thunder a stare, but he just turned and walked away. They called him a thief, said he would hang. When he was near, there were songs they sang about Indians being dirt. He said it was all. They called him a liar. One day they set his cabin on fire. They were still there when he got back. He walked inside against their demands, appeared with the corpse of a woman in his hands. He said that it was his wife. He said that when the mill burned down, the money had been scattered all around. He picked up what still was good, asked why none of the rest of us would. Tears rolled down his face as he turned and carried his wife back into the flames. The men stood staring at the ground. No one dared to make a sound because the Indian never came back out. Thank you for joining me again, and we will get on with Volume 1 in the next episode. We, as always, if you would like to read at a different pace, www.poetrypalacegiftsshop.com is my site, and there is all my poetry there for free. I'd love to have you visit and take a look, especially if you know someone who's had a loss of a spouse. Volume 18 is about that, and I'm a long ways from being able to read it. So enjoy, and I will see you next week. Bye.